Hi, I'm Andrea Mundt, and I'm presenting Arthur Wesley Dow. One of the most influential art educators of the late 19th and early 20th century is Arthur Wesley Dow. Not only was he an art educator, but he was also, first and foremost, an artist. He had a long and successful career as both an artist and art educator. He was the founder of design theory and synthetic art education, which is based on drawing and painting methods of elements and principles of elements. He taught in many universities and institutions around America, even beginning his own school for those who wanted to follow his teachings. He had many influences, and he also influenced many people to follow his views of teaching and also making art itself. Arthur Wesley Dow was an American artist, teacher, scholar, critical thinker, and photographer. He was born April 16, 1857, and died December 13, 1922, in Ipswich, Massachusetts, where in 1900 he opened his own summer school of art. Dow escaped superficial categorizations because he was considered simultaneously tonalist, luminist, and impressionist because his painting style eluded definition, yet fell squarely in the center of modernism. His ideas and ideals, his methods and writings all attest to a creative, active energy. He was always in search of new information amid the glories of both Western and Eastern civilizations. An early proponent of power of all art forms from every culture, he championed Aztec and African arts, Italian Trecento paintings, Greek classicism, Native American arts and crafts, and most importantly, Japanese and Chinese art, encouraging the incorporation of the best of these into high standard and aesthetic appreciation. In each of these forms, he valued asymmetry, balance, and discipline as the elements due to the highest regard when they are combined to create a beautiful composition. Influenced by William Morris's arts and crafts theory that any work of art, whether fine or decorative, could achieve greatness if it integrated inspiration and craftsmanship along with following artistic materials to speak for themselves. Dow had a liberal perspective, and he passed on his appreciation for the beautifully rendered to his students as well as to a wider audience. For Dow, the essence of great artwork was based on the three basic elements of design: line, notan, which is dark and light, and color. Dow wrote a book entitled Composition, a series of exercises in art structure for the uses of students and teachers, which was written in 1899, and later a second edition was published in 1913. This was a new kind of book in which Dow described his synthetic exercises. What distinguishes his from other drawings and painting methods was that it was based on the elements and principles of design. In Dow's system, there were three basic elements of design: line, notan, dark and light, and color. Line refers to the boundaries of shape and the interrelations of line and space. Line and beauty is the result of a harmony made up of lines in various combinations. Notan, a Japanese word meaning dark and light, refers to the massing of tones of different values. Notan beauty means the harmony resulting from the combination of dark and light spaces in buildings, pictures, or nature. Color refers to the quality of light. These three elements exist in hierarchy. Good color depends on good notan, and good notan depends upon good spacing, which is determined by the placement of lines. So in his view, it made sense to begin the study of design with the elements of line. Over the next 30 years, Dow retained enthusiasm for the arts of the East, refining his thoughts in lectures, articles, and books. Dow once said, "Japanese art is the expression of people's devotion to the beautiful. It is an art which exists for beauty only, in lofty isolation from science and mechanics, from realism and commercialism, from all that has befogged and debased other art." In addition to the three elements, Dow conceived 5 principles of composition: opposition, transition, subordination, repetition, and symmetry. All of these are, in turn, dependent upon what he called the great general principle of proportion, or good spacing. Dow illustrated each of these elements and principles, which with reproductions of artworks from architecture, painting, sculpture, and the crafts to demonstrate that they are universal. Dow called this theory of synthetic design because he believed his elements and principles were building blocks for all forms of art, past, present, and future. Despite his increasing fame, Dow continued to drive himself, traveling around promoting art education for everyone, lecturing extensively throughout America and abroad. He gave lectures at the New York Society of Ceramic Arts in the spring of 1901. Dow served as vice president of both the National Society of Craftsmen, established in 1906, and the National League of Handicraft Society, established in 1907. He closed his school in Ipswich after the 1906 session. He was also named head of the Eastern Art Teachers Association in 1907 and was the director of College Art Association in 1912 and 1913. Dow was very much a man of his time. He was accustomed to new ideas, sensitive to the nuances of a range of aesthetic approaches. He not only admired the work of his esteemed old masters, but also he appreciated and adorned the virtues of the work in his contemporaries. From his first mentor, who encouraged him to work outdoors, Alexander Harrison, to the better-known Puvis de Chavannes, Manet, Whistler, and Maurice Prendergast, throughout his life he saw a wide variety of influences to inform his work. Dow's greatest admiration was reserved for a decorative style combined with an intuitive sensitivity to the elements of good design. In the early 1890s, after spending nearly 5 years abroad, Dow began a self-prescribed course of study to examine the great works of other cultures and eras. In this way, he initially discovered the work of Japanese printmakers, and his discovery revolutionized not only his own art, but also the way he taught art for over 30 years. Ernest Fenollosa became a confidant and ally in his effort to educate both the art world and the public to the purity of Japanese aesthetic coupled with an American sensibility. Georgia O'Keeffe is one of the reasons we remember Dow today. Though his own art was radical and widely innovative, the ideas and ideals he taught were extreme in the context of turn-of-the-century American art and were more than sufficient to kindle the imagination of young artists seeking a viable substitute for the traditional academicism of their predecessors. By turning away from a direct replication of nature to synthetic art emphasizing the essential shapes, flattened forms, and decorative lines, and using a prescribed formula that could aid the student in making individual choices, Dow gave students a vital, unrestricted tool with which to work. Dow's ideas, innovative over a century ago, still resonate in our time. An early advocate of multicultural appreciation of art, he treated all cultures and media with equal respect. Dow left the art community forever changed with the creative thinking and his inspiration in art education. He has helped to pave the way for future artists and art educators to continue with a passion that is felt by many.